We have a question from Francois. He wants to know what is an easy way that he can insert a photo in the middle of a series of photos on his timeline without having to move a whole sequence just to make space for it. When he tries to do this, he actually ends up replacing one picture with another. Let's show him why that happens and then show him the correct way of doing it. The answer to Francois' question is he doesn't have the magnetic timeline turned on and or he's not using even the auto ripple. Either of these two would have shifted everything over for him. And now we're going to show him how we're going to do that. Whenever you're trying to insert something, it's best to zoom in as much as you can so that you have the detail. Now, a recent feature in Filmora is that if you move the timeline or the playhead to in the rough area where you want to zoom in and you start zooming in, it's going to move to the center of the screen to make it easier for you to find exactly what it is. But there's a better way of doing that, and we're just going to zoom out. Let's say that we want to insert our picture just before this whole sequence thing starts, and we want everything to move to the right. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the shortcut key Shift Home, and that's going to jump right to the very first frame of this particular picture. Or it might be that we know we want to do it right after this sequence. So the other method is to do Shift End. And that's going to jump the playhead to the exact spot on the timeline. Okay, now, as I said, it's best to zoom in as much as you can. Make sure when you're doing an insert in a big project. However, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to use the zoom to fit button to stretch out everything right here on the timeline so we can observe these other items moving as well. So I'm just going to click this button here, zoom to fit timeline. This spreads everything out. Now, we're going to first demonstrate what happens when Francois tried to put a picture down there and it covered up the other picture. Okay, so I'm taking this video clip and I'm going to drop it right here, and it's going to wipe out everything that you see in black right there, and that's not what we want. Now, he thought he would have to move everything to the right, make space, and then drop that in, but you don't. So let's reverse what we just did. In case you goof up, don't worry. You hold down the Control key and you press Z or Z, and that reverses the operation. So now we're right back to where we were before we dragged the picture down. Okay, so the correct way of doing it is to activate the magnetic timeline right here. Now that has a secondary icon that you can turn on or off. And this secondary icon simply says, when it's turned on, include all of the other tracks above and below. So if you've got some very intricate animation set up, then you want to preserve that. That's how you preserve it. You make sure that this icon is also checked. Okay, so magnetic timeline, and then here. Now all we have to do is drop this video clip down, but for demonstration purposes, not something that you're going to do on a regular basis. I'm going to drag it down here, and as I drag it across, you will notice that these start shifting over to the right as I pass by them. So take a look at that. We're going to start here, and we can see that, okay, first of all, where I'm dropping it is the track that I'm on. And if you're not seeing it here on the main track, make sure you move the image down with the mouse. All the while you're holding down the left mouse button until you get to where you want. But you can see those little blue titles up above are shifting as we move by. Likewise, the images that are below are going to also move behind our black shadow there. And we want to make sure that that last image right there is also moved behind it. And you can see I'm over it a little bit, but I'm not over far enough to snap the other one back there. So there we go. I just move it up to the right spot. I let go, and voila, there you have it. It is inserted right in there. You have preserved all of the other stuff. Now I could go into a lot of other stuff. I am going to show one more option. And that's, okay, I just reversed it again, Control Z. And I'm going to switch over to the auto ripple. This is the old-fashioned method. And the difference between this and the magnetic timeline is you don't have the ability to decouple the other lines above and below. And sometimes that creates a headache. That's why it's the old-fashioned method, because it had issues. But for one thing, it doesn't move everything over, so we're not quite sure we're getting it right where we want it. But if everything worked out right, then everything did get moved. It is quite possible to use this and then accidentally not get everything that you want because you didn't pull it all the way to the beginning. In other words, you kind of broke this image in half, that this didn't move and that didn't move. So this is not the best way of doing it. Use the magnetic timeline when you want to drop something in. Hopefully this helps you.